Okay, quick show of hands. Who here is a Karate Kid fan? Original or remake? Okay, I have been given the information that the reason you're all here, because nobody's here to hear me talk, Ralph Macchio is here.
He's awesome, guys. Thanks. That's very nice. Let's face it, it's just that it's so darn cold and wet outside. You guys just wanted to come in here. Yeah, turn the heat on outside for me, will you?
Yeah, when they told you were coming to Texas in November, how just ebullient about the war?
Yeah, I'm glad I brought one jacket. No, I'm from New York, so this is, this is...
The same.
Yeah, it was cold when I got off the plane yesterday, though. What a great turnout here. This is awesome, and thanks for all coming out. I see everybody. I hope I look good or something. This is smile. Yeah, all my girls from back in the day, like, you look awesome, dude. Hey, where are you? I can't hear you out there. That's awesome. Well, it's good to be in this town. It's a great city. I was here. I guess it was about, I think it was 07 or something. It was the first time I was in Austin. I went to Fort Hood, met a bunch of the troops out there and the families, and that was a very rewarding time. And I had a couple, 2 nights in Austin, one of which I won't soon forget. It was like 110 degrees. And I don't, I'll have wine or beer occasionally, but someone said, oh, the tequila is awesome at this restaurant. Forget it. I was just like sweating and dehydrating. I stood up to go to the bathroom and I was like, whoa. So, but great music, great town, and glad to be here, and really, really excited to see all you folks here. All right, I'll shut up. I'll see you later. No. So you go.
Okay. I know there's going to be people with questions, so we'll just dive straight in. Just put your hand up if you've got a question. Okay, you.
Well, that's a good question. She asked, I'll repeat the question just in case that guy over there can't hear. She's a Karate Kid fan, so there might be 1 or 2 of you out there, and I appreciate that. And thank you. The question was, how did I train for it, or did I? I mean, I faked some of it, but I did. When I was a kid, I took basic theater, musical theater, and some dance lessons, which is why I didn't stink on Dancing with the Stars. But I so it's choreography, so it's the fight scenes are choreography. So but you just have to learn how not to follow through and kick the other guy. I took a few to the face, but not too bad. That Billy Zapka guy, Bad man. But it's Pat Johnson was the guy who trained me and most of us on that film, and he played the referee in the final fight sequence of the first film. So.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a good question. This is about the film Crossroads, which is, I will say, very popular down here. I've been hearing it. I don't have any pictures from Crossroads with me, and I'm getting lambasted by all of Austin. They're like, dude, where's the Crossroads shot? So next time back, obviously South, blues, Austin music. think ahead. And obviously, there's a lot of great Crossroads fans here. His question was, there's a big final guitar duel at the end of that film, and what percentage was me playing, or did I have a hand double or whatever? That music was all. I would love to say it was me. I play the best air guitar ever. But the movie would be very anticlimactic if you heard what was coming out of the instrument if it was me. It was Ry Cooder who did the score for that movie, and Steve Vai, who a lot of people know is just an awesome guitarist. So between those two guys, they made up the playback that you heard. But I worked really hard with some great guitar coaches and looking like I knew what I was doing. And it's one of the things I'm most proud of with that film. I've had musicians and guitarists actually believe that I was playing where I was not. So so I give myself credit for looking good. And it was always my hands doing it, you know. And I got to keep that Telecaster, so I have that.
You there in the...
Hey. What's up? Well, so he's saying that Marty Cove, who played the Darth Vader of the Karate Kid series, said that the Cobra Kai was a tight-knit group and that I didn't really associate too much with them. But I think this happened. I didn't hate all of them.
Which raises
I
the
think
question,
maybe Steve McQueen's kid was nice, but no. No, it's the question was that true? It was not by design that I didn't hang out with them. First of all, anytime I saw them, they were basically beating the crap out of me. So I was not running back at any given moment. But I also had a lot to work on with a lot of dialogue scenes and a lot of scenes with Pat Morita that required some extra rehearsal time. So there was not a lot of time for me to hang out with the bad guys. So, we all got along. We like each other now a lot better than we did then. Thanks.
Yep.
Anything from the film Beer League? That's great. It's the first Beer League, but I did one of these. That's awesome. I mean, that movie is like, it's got its audience, man. It's got its audience. It's not family night at the theater, but it is certainly it's got its late night audience. And Artie Lang, who wrote that, and is a big comic guy. That film was. I said no the first time I read it. I said no the second time, and then they was like, come play softball in Jersey for a while, with the hookers, naked people, and a lot of cocaine. All fake for the kids. For the people who brought their kids to meet their idol. I just lost a whole demographic right there. But there were, certainly the bachelor party scene was a crazy day at the office, I would say. But nothing that I could personally report outside of the fact that I looked better at softball in the movie than I probably really am.
Right there.
Mm-hmm. I do keep in contact with some of the guys from The Outsiders. Outsiders is one of my favorite pieces I've ever been involved with, and certainly my first role that I read that book when I was 12 years old, and the fact that I got to play that part and the part I wanted is still a magical thing for me. Stay gold, Pony Boy is like one of those things that, just stays gold in my life, But I stay in touch with Matt Dillon on occasion. C. Thomas Howell, just saw Rob Lowe like 2 or 3 weeks ago in New York. And Emilio Estevez sometimes. Diane Lane every chance I could get. She's fantastic. And it's a tight-knit group. We all were just starting out, and that film has, there's so many young kids I see, mainly teenage girls who all think we're available and still 18. that love that film, you know, and it's nice to be part of a couple of them like that. The Karate Kid you guys mentioned, and also My Cousin Vinny is another one that sort of keeps replaying itself. So it's very, very cool.
Okay, right at the back there.
Was there anything in your role as Pony Boy in The Outsiders that helped prepare you for the longevity of acting the Karate Kid?
Well, that's an interesting question. Just one slight correction. I didn't play Pony Boy. I played Johnny, but I got to say Stay Gold Pony Boy. So that's an honest mistake. Not even a mistake, but a mismention. That role there was a lot of depth in that character, and I don't know if the Karate Kid came like about a year after that. The Outsiders, I'm dating myself and making everybody in the room feel really old. Both of those films are like 30 years old right now. Okay, and if you saw them when they came out, welcome to my world. But they regenerate with each generation, and that's a great thing. But The Outsiders I took very seriously. I wanted to deliver a very strong, in-depth performance with that, and I think that does play into other roles that I got to play. I think if I didn't have that challenge at that early part of my career, maybe it would not have paid off as well in the performance of Danial LaRusso and so on. So, it's a good question.
Green shirt, right there.
As a martial artist myself, I've always loved Karate Kid movies. Where specifically was Karate Kid 2 filmed, like the city, and was it your favorite of the three?
Good question. She's asking where Karate Kid Part 2 was shot. And we shot outside of Los Angeles, which it still it took place, Reseda, all that stuff. And we shot on the island of Oahu in Hawaii. It was the windward side of the island, and they built that little village to pretend that it was Okinawa. So, and there's a Chinaman's Hat, which is a very famous piece of land right off the coast that is in one or two of the shots, and people who know Hawaii was like, that's not Okinawa, that's the Chinaman's Hat. Was it the favorite of the first one is my favorite, mainly because everything. The story arc, the relatability of that character being the every kid next door that we all related to, and we all, felt that he could be us. I think that's why that movie has stood the test of time, because that he was the kid that we could all be. He had no business winning anything, so the fact that he had that sort of magical father figure and went through a stage of bullying or fish out of water. Child of a single parent was very, I think reached a lot of people on a human level, and so it will always be my favorite because it had the magical sort of arc. But the second one, I thought, with opening up another world, was a very, very worthy sequel. The third one was, probably should have stopped. That one, as they say, the check cleared, but that was not a great script. But the first two are definitely super proud of.
Okay, right there.
Yes, sir. With the original Karate Kid, the first one, you still being in your early 20s at that time, did you anticipate what that would become over the years, that generations become so popular, and that in culture, how people maybe kids see it now, or did you just look at the time and I mean, this is an awesome script?
Well, at that time, yeah, I was. I shot The Karate Kid. I was like 19. I was always, there's always a 5-7 year buffer with me. It's like you look like you're 12. I joke. I played 16 for 37 years. Not quite. But The Karate Kid. When we were making the movie, I thought it was kind of, I mean, I got the part, and it was a great thing, and we thought it was going to be a good movie. I thought it was a little, corny when we were making it. I thought it was, I thought the scenes, the boyfriend-girlfriend scenes were a little, like after-school special. That's why I'm not the head of a studio, okay? So obviously, clearly, I don't know what I'm talking about. But one thing I did know is that Pat Morita and I had a special kind of magic. The scenes just felt very very connected, very emotional, very human. And when I say very human, I mean not performed. You know, I think that our connection was just one of those things that only happens in movies occasionally, and that creates that kind of silver screen magic that you try to do every time, and you just can't. It's not that easy. It either works or it doesn't. So I knew we had a chemistry, and who knew that, put them in a body bag would be part of the American lexicon. That wax on, wax off is in the dictionary now. Or that the crane kick is, you could do that you could probably take that stance anywhere on the planet and everybody knows what it is until, at least in these few generations. That is just, I had no idea that 30 years later I would fill a room with people and asking questions about that. That's the cake and eat it too. It's an awesome give back.
And I've got to ask you about that. What was your response when you heard they were going to do the remake?
Good question.
That's why they pay me.
That's right. It was an initial how dare they, of course. I think that, I was sort of down on the general concept because it felt like, listen, it's never been called show art. It's always been called show business. And obviously that was a business thing to remake that film. I thought that there was room certainly to reimagine that story. It is a great story, and it works on so many levels. I was initially, people say, would you go see it? My theory was, I don't really enjoy seeing any remake for the most part because I don't like to see a movie where I know how it's going to end. And it's just, this time is too precious to do that, and for me personally. So I wasn't, that excited about it. I spoke to Will Smith. Here's a story you'll love. I was at the Sundance Film Festival, and the remake was just announced, and someone asked me, what do you think about the film? I said, well, I was saying this, that I was a little bit, why remake something that works so well? It's such a part of pop culture and people's upbringing. Why don't we, come up with original stories? But we'll see what happens. Well, the next day was like Macchio slams remake. Like on every, Yahoo movies, phone rings, it's Will Smith. Yo, what's up? I know I'm messing with your baby. I know you don't want me to do it, but anything you want. He was great. And then I found out he wanted to put me on the phone with Jaden. So I felt like, Obi-Wan talking to young Skywalker. You take this legacy and you carry it. We use the Force. What a perfect segue into Comic-Con. And so it was very cool that he called and he asked if I wanted to be involved in any way. And I just felt that to preserve the legacy of what we did, I figured let them make their own film, and it turned out to only enhance the legacy of the original. And I think it's the 2010 version with Jaden is for the times, it's a very exciting, it's the same exact story and a completely different movie. So that it goes to show that you can tell the same story. So I think it was a successful, they did a very good job, and it was a successful film. What it is not is it does not have the soul and the heart and the magic that we all experienced for the first time, and you can't do that again. Doubtful they'll be reciting lines from the film in 30 years like you guys are doing for what we did back in '84.
Okay, we've got time for one more question. I need it to be a really good one. Okay, you look really enthusiastic. If it's bad, we're asking somebody else. Be warned.
You were, Ralph, I am Mark. You were speaking of the natural performances that just seem so human. And I got that impression from the show episodes of Entourage that you did. It seemed like it was complete improv. I mean, do you know those guys? And how did you pull that off?
That's a good question. He's speaking of Entourage. I did a guest spot on that show in their second season, just when the show was starting to become a big hit. and it was this great episode called Aqua Mansion, and the whole thing was about the Playboy Mansion and how Johnny Drama, Kevin Dillon's part, and Macchio went to the Playboy Mansion and let the monkeys out of the cage, and we've been banned by Hugh Hefner, and it turns out to be Pauly Shore all along. It was a really funny, killer funny episode, and I got to shoot at the Playboy Mansion for like 16 straight hours, in which my wife says, "Go do something, get out of the house, just do something." I asked my wife, "Is it okay if I'm like hanging out at the Playboy?" She says, "Just get back to work." But just don't come home with anything. But I knew Kevin Dillon because I worked with Matt Dillon in The Outsiders, and I loved Kevin Dillon's role as Johnny Drama. And Kevin Connolly grew up probably about 15 minutes from where I grew up. That show did a great job of writing dialogue that seemed very natural, but they allowed us to improv. So there's a decent amount of improv in there, but we stayed within the lines. It's sort of like coloring in the lines, but you get to bleed outside a little bit, So I love that scene when he comes to my door and asks me to go to the Playboy Mansion. It's such a funny scene. Yeah, that's a cool question. Thanks.
Okay. Well, thanks very much, everybody. We've got to wrap this up now. You've all been great. You have been fantastic.
Thank you for coming. It really, really is humbling to see you all here. It's awesome. Thanks.